Thanks and hello everyone. Welcome back to sports. We've got a ton to cover, so let's jump right on in. Firstly, Trinity football wraps up their regular season tomorrow afternoon, kicking off their senior day celebrations against Hendrix College. The Tigers enter after having allowed just 13 points in the last 3 games and aren't looking at slowing down anytime soon. Senior day is the last home game of the career for Trinity seniors and is always a very sentimental day. This year, the Tigers will have one last regular season showdown with 16 fifth-year seniors as well as 25 regular seniors. Meanwhile, Trinity volleyball dominated their only game last week, flattening the Shriner Mountaineers in straight sets back on Thursday. They now roll into today's SCAC semifinal matchup, ready to do some serious damage after having earned a first-round bye and a number 13 national ranking. The team is highlighted by 4 members of the SCAC's all-conference first team, which is made up of Mackenzie Logan, Marissa Amarino, Maddie Fate, and Brett Thornton. In addition to the first team honors, Logan also earned the conference's Player of the Year award, while Amarino earned the SCAC Setter of the Year award. Head coach Julie Jenkins earned her 400th career SCAC victory earlier this year and won the conference's Coach of the Year award. Despite a very slow start to the season, Trinity women's soccer turned around when it mattered most, winning the SCAC Conference Championship last weekend over Southwestern. The game was scoreless until the 85th minute when sophomore Clara Richards knocked in the only goal of the game, giving Trinity the 1-0 win they needed to stay undefeated in conference play. After winning the title, they now move on to play a team from my neck of the woods, Abilene, Texas, as they face off against Hardin-Simmons University tomorrow. Unfortunately, men's soccer wasn't so lucky, falling in a penalty shootout against St. Thomas. On the bright side, they do host the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, with their first match coming tomorrow night against UT Dallas at 5. On to professional sports, the NFL trade deadline has come and gone, with several teams making big moves. The San Francisco 49ers in particular went all in on a run, acquiring Chase Young from Washington to bolster an already stout defensive front. In addition, following the Achilles tear to Kirk Cousins, the Minnesota Vikings made a trade with the Arizona Cardinals to get Josh Dobbs, who went off for a big game against the Atlanta Falcons. Dobbs, a former aerospace engineer, took off for the Vikings, throwing for 158 yards and 3 touchdowns en route to a 31-28 win. The Cowboys fell in heartbreaking 28-3 loss to Philadelphia, while rookie phenom C.J. Stroud led his Houston Texans to a 39-37 shootout victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Over in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs have slid in recent days, dropping to a 3-5 record after a 126-105 loss to the New York Knicks. The team's last win was last Thursday with a 132-121 victory over the Phoenix Suns, and they have since dropped games to the Toronto Raptors, Indiana Pacers, and of course the Knicks. The Dallas Mavericks, on the other hand, have had a much more consistent season, entering Friday with an impressive 6-2 record on the year so far. Their most recent 127-116 loss to the Raptors broke a 2-game win streak, but they hope to recover with their next game against the Los Angeles Clippers, who just traded for James Harden earlier on in the year. Finally, Harden's former team, the Houston Rockets, have had a fairly average season to this point, sitting at a 4-3 record after their win over the Lakers on Wednesday. Meanwhile, on to motorsports, and Formula One is back in America once again. The circus travels to Sin City for 3 nights of racing on the Las Vegas Strip, the first time that F1 has been to Vegas since the Caesars Palace Grand Prix in 1984. This event follows a thrilling race in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where Max Verstappen won yet another round over the rest of the field. The race kicked off with a bang, but in the worst way possible for Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc. Leclerc reportedly lost hydraulic pressure on the formation lap, crashing into the barrier at turn 6 and ending his day before the race even began. There's further chaos behind, as Alex Albon and Kevin Magnussen were taking out in a crash before even making it to the first corner. The crash also caught up Australian Daniel Ricciardo, who suffered rear wing damage after Albon's loose tire hit it. Once the race resumed, Verstappen took off, leaving the rest of the pack behind and winning his 17th race of the season. This victory means that Verstappen has secured a record that has stood for 71 years, breaking Alberto Ascari's record of winning over 75% of the races in a season. The race saw a fantastic conclusion despite Verstappen's dominance, as the fight for the final podium position went down to the wire. Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso and Red Bull's Sergio Perez had a drag race down to the finish line, with Alonso narrowly coming out on top with a margin of just 53 thousandths of a second. Verstappen's win also resulted in some harsh words from former competition Mercedes, and in particular team boss Toto Wolff. Mercedes has struggled this year with their car, with Wolff calling the car, quote, miserable, and saying, quote, this car does not deserve a win. That's all from me. I hope that you all have a safe weekend and an absolutely wonderful Thanksgiving break.